If you remember that religion itself is a development of human creativity, and so many stories in different religious books around the world, so many wonderful stories in theological ideas and concepts which obviously were just made up by men to promote their particular religious belief. But back to the Moses giving of the law, that particular scene of Moses with the Ten Commandments, the very stalls and the very stones themselves is very important. Moses is always the lawgiver, and the Jews today still respect Moses as probably one of the most important people in their history besides Abraham. You will see Moses in pictures and paintings and sculptures. Moses has horns. And it's been all around the world. People have wondered, why is it Moses, he has horns? And it's interesting to understand what the horns represent on Moses. The horns of Moses, and you will see that there was in the ancient world, at Moses' time, in that ancient time, there was a moon god, and the moon god's name was Sin, and he was always represented by the lower quarter of the moon. And so the lower quarter of the moon was used as a symbol for moon worship. And they had goddesses of moon worship, which you have. Also, in Rome, you had moon gods. The Native Americans also have horns because they counted their days by many moons. Their days were like the Hebrews today. After 6 o'clock began a new day. Well, the same thing with the Native Americans. So all of these people from the ancient Hebrews to the Native Americans were using a lunar calendar. Lunar simply meaning the moon, and so the symbol for the lunar was the horns of the bull, or the horns which the Vikings used. This is a symbol for the lunar symbol, which you'll find everywhere in different religions. These are the horns that Moses wore. Here in Israel, you'll see carvings of the arms raised to raise and to praise the moon. And Egyptian paintings show the moon. The Blessed Mother in Christianity stands on the moon. You'll see the moon everywhere in the ancient world of religion, which was showing us that the moon was very important even at the time of Moses in Egypt. Moon worship was very prominent. And of course today, the Islamic world still uses the moon also, and in the Western world, the moon is still used as a symbol. We're talking about a moon cult many thousands of years ago in Egypt, of which Moses was the leader of the Hebrew people, which were worshipers of the moon at that time. If you go on the web and just type in moon god Sin, it will have all kinds of information showing you about how the moon was a very important part of worship in the ancient world. And they will also tell you that Moses was a leader of a lunar cult. There's a lot of information about the moon cult and the moon god, Yahweh or Allah. Here is a classic example in the ancient world of the moon god Sin. The god himself, his name was called Sin. And in the ancient world, Ai was a mountain in the times of ancient Egypt. Ai was a mountain, and so we have this moon god Sin in the mountain, Ai, and put it together and becomes Sinai. So Mount Sinai is actually, the moon god Sin in the mountain of Sinai. Well, Mount Sinai today is felt to be the center for and the really foundation for the Jewish religion as it began to spread throughout the Middle East. Mount Sinai was where God met with Moses. God met with his people at Mount Sinai. But Mount Sinai is actually Sin Ai.